and welcome to Country Matters. In today's programme we've got lots to show you, but first of all I want you to have a look at this item here and see if you can determine what it might be. We're going to be meeting the gentleman that uses this in his hobby. As you can see, it's a piece of leather and it's inverted like a horseshoe but tighter at the bottom. It's got flaps of leather also at the top, so something obviously goes in there, and on each side there are two pieces of string. There are also a long length of cord, about 8 foot, which is then attached to this dowel. So if you give some thought as to what that might be, all will be revealed later in the programme.
I've come along to have a chat with Falconer Mike Rogers.
What got you into falconry or birds of prey?
Well, I had a lifelong interest in birds of prey since a child, and being brought up in the Hertfordshire countryside. It wasn't until I moved to this area of the world where I had some space and living and a settled employment, so I was able to spend time on the birds, and then I was able to go on a course, falconry course. First of all, just as a taster, a weekend course, really.
And the birds we've got here, there's your lanner there. So what's the story behind the lanner there? It's a lovely bird.
Well, I started off flying a lanner, which is unusual, but I was offered the lanner. A young lad had bought her. She was bred at a falconry centre in Kent. He realised very quickly just exactly what the commitment was, and I bought her when she was about 6 months old and really just a young bird.
Right.
So I had a good part of the initial training and flying with her.
The lanner is about the same size as our native peregrine falcon. Why use a lanner when you could be using a native bird?
The lanner is a relatively easy bird to train. It's very easy to keep, and it's quite happy just flying around, giving me the pleasure of watching it flying without particularly having a great desire to go and hunt.
So the other bird, tell us about the other birds, Mike.
The small bird, of course, is our own British kestrel. It's a small male kestrel, which friends of mine bred. They bred him from a pair of injured kestrels, and I really took him on to give my wife a bit of fun. She just flies him round the house. He's not a serious falconry bird, but it is a bit of fun. And although we have to watch his weight carefully, he's a very small bird, he's performed very well, and we've had lots of pleasure from him.
Yes.
He hates the local kestrels, and we'll have a go at any of them, but apart from that, he's been no problem at all.
Right. And the big bird in the middle there.
Right. That's a female Saker that has recently come to me. It's really on extended loan. She traditionally is the Arab falconry bird for hunting in the desert, but a few are bred in this country. She's molting at the moment, but hopefully when she's finished her molt, I'll have a go at flying her and maybe do a little bit of rook hunting with her. There's always the problem with a Saker that they naturally migrate, so one hopes that come our winter she doesn't decide to head for a warmer climate. They would live in captivity probably twice as long as they would in the wild, and for the two larger birds, I would expect certainly 20 years, and even the small kestrel for 10 years.
What do you feed them on when you keep them?
The birds have to eat meat. It has to be fresh meat, and traditionally they're fed on day-old cockerels, dead day-old cockerels from the chicken hatcheries.
I see.
Staple diet, and then beef and other mice. It's all fed to them dead.
Could you outline exactly what the jesses are used for?
The jesses are the leather straps which fixed between the bird, the anklets, little anklets on the bird, and the leash which ties the bird onto the block. So it's just a traditional leather.
Right. So it's soft leather.
Soft leather indeed.
Right.
Very often kangaroo skin.
Right.
Good quality leather.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've got some other equipment here you're going to show
certainly.
us. Could we have it on the table and have a look?
Yes.
See what you've got there?
Yes, certainly.
First of all, you've got the glove.
Yes, the traditional glove, single glove. If you're right-handed, you have a left-handed glove. Your bird sits on the glove,
On your
leaving the
left
right
hand.
hand
Yeah.
for handling the bird.
I see.
Again, made of leather, different types of leather. This is a soft kid one, depending which type of bird you're handling. Is the strength of the glove you need. So it's very nicely made.
Very nice. And then the bag.
This is a canvas bag really for carrying both your food for your bird, and also if you go hunting, hopefully to if it's a small prey, to carry your hunting prey home.
Yeah.
So it carries all things. You can spare jesses on here, and if your bird goes a distance, a whistle for summoning the bird, and of course a strap to carry it all over your shoulder. Again, traditionally canvas, but some people have leather bags.
Yes. Super. And then the hoods.
This is
splendid.
this one is designed or made for the Saker. There are various types of shapes for the hood. Some of a Dutch design, some of an Indian design. Basically, this is to go over the head of the falcon, so it's in the dark. It's settled, or hoodwinked, some people call it. Very much like having blinkers on a horse. The bird is steady. It's not upset by other birds around it, but it's not inclined to want to fly away. And then when you're ready to fly your particular bird, take off the hood, and the bird is in a state ready to fly.
One thing I have seen at exhibitions and shows is that they often use the mouth when they're taking these off the bird. Could you explain why is that done?
Yes, of course. When you're carrying your bird, you've only got one free hand, so
Right.
everything has to be done with one hand. And when this is sitting on the bird, it's one hand and the mouth, and a careful pull, it's off and off the bird.
Oh, I see.
So
And you mentioned earlier hoodwinked, so could you outline how that came about?
yes, certainly there are a lot of terms which have come from falconry, and hoodwinked, of course, is an obvious one. When the hood is on the bird, it is hoodwinked.
Right. So terms like that fascinate me. Are there any other terms still in use today that came from falconry?
One that everybody uses, which is a traditional falconry term, and that's fed up. When the bird is put in the mews to molt, it's given lots and lots of food, and it sits in the corner fairly quiet and subdued. It's fed up. It sits there and grows new feathers. Doesn't waste any energy flying around at all.
Right.
It's fed up.
That's brilliant. I didn't know that. Have you got any more interesting ones like that?
Well, there's a well-known one, a term we use for cadging. Now, the cadge was a frame that we used to use for carrying the birds up into the hills, and the man that used to carry it was the cadger.
Right.
He didn't get paid, but if it was a good day's sport, he would put his hand out at the end of the day and cadge a bit of money.
I see.
And that's where it came from. Now, we don't use a cadge much these days, but I've got one here that I've put together so you can see the idea.
Oh, right.
I'd like to have a look.
Great.
As you can see here, Paul, it's just a basic frame really, and I'm sure when they were in use they made some more ornate ones.
Yes.
I've just used some basic materials here, but they would have been leather straps, and it would carry 4 birds. Let me, if you put this over your step inside, put those over your shoulders. There you go, and with a with a bird on each side, you could carry 4 birds there, or
Right.
maybe more up into the
into the hills.
mountains.
Yes.
It's not a too onerous job really. As you can see, it's about 1 metre square. Now, normally we'd put some padding along here to protect the birds' feet, and maybe some arrangement to tie them on. But it then, as you can see, possible to perch each bird at various positions. Now, it would easily carry 4, and with care you could carry some more. And again, the birds are hooded so that they don't interfere with one another. They're quite at ease, and all you have to do then is to walk up on the hills, which in good weather is probably quite pleasant. But if the wind is blowing on a cold Scottish moor, could be perhaps not quite so pleasant. But some good sport was to be had.
Yes. So how many birds would they have taken each?
They would have taken maybe 1 or 2 birds each,
Right.
and depending how many are in the party, of course. It was a very well-to-do sport. I mean,
Yes.
not everybody can hunt on the moorland.
No.
So yes, there was quite a few birds to be taken, and of course there may be more than one cadger man.
Yes.
So it could be a full day's exciting sport. For
So you said there's no reason to use these today, because obviously you're going out in your vehicles.
That's correct.
So what do you use today?
Well, nowadays you can equip your vehicle, or you can use, as I have just here, which is a more modern arrangement, and which is just a box which I've designed basically to take 2 birds, and the principle is exactly the same. It sits in the back of the car. It's steady. And it's equipped for 2 birds, but you could put 4. Again, the birds are hooded so they don't interfere with one another. And I've just put which you can just see, I've just drilled through so they can tie the leash onto there, so the bird is quite secure. And they travel well on that.
Yes.
They'll travel quite a distance.
So to go from the old type cadger to the new type cadger, I mean, I just find that fascinating. That, a cadger, it was actually a job. It's come all this way, and we're still using it today.
Still use the same term, and everybody knows what it means to put your hand out and get some money. And people are still cadging in the streets these days.
Well, are we now ready to go flying? That's what you promised you'd do for me, and that's what I'm really looking forward to seeing.
I think we are. It's a lovely afternoon, and the birds would like to fly. So yeah, let's go out.
That's great. Thanks very much. So what are you putting on now, Mike?
This is some modern electronic equipment called telemetry. I put a little transmitter on the tail of the bird, sends out a little pulse, and if she does get lost, I can tell roughly what direction she is and how far away she is.
I see.
So it's a modern aid to getting them back.
Right.
The birds traditionally have bells on their feet, but you can't hear birds very well. This equipment will go about 5 miles. So if we do lose her, then a bit of a chance of finding her back, which is a good, reliable bird. She just
So there's a special knot there for putting them onto the hand?
Yes, it's a knot that you can both tie and undo with one hand. You've only got one hand to play with. Normally you do a double knot, just in case you've got a clever bird that can undo the first one.
Falconry is one of the oldest sports in existence, and while Mike tends not to hunt his birds at live quarry, the birds still need exercise on a daily basis.
Yes, they're designed for hunting in those boxes up in Salford the other way.
Yes.
So we push on, and you do a bit each year, so we can do it.
Motorways are a great problem, aren't they?
It's important that you have access to an area large enough to fly them.
It is. I'm very lucky to be able to fly here. It's ideal, and today is really pleasant. Some good winds and some good thermals.
Right.
So perhaps we'll hopefully get a good flight from her.
Okay.
Right, we'll have
So
to
what do
take
we do now?
well, we've got to take the jesses and the leash off that
Right.
that we mentioned before, and she's had a little rouse. She knows she's going to fly, so she's sorting her feathers out. But I'll just get the equipment off here. Now she's got these little flying or field jesses on, just a little jess, so there's something to get hold of when she comes back. There's no slots or anything in there that can get caught up.
Right.
And then this can now all come off. That's the leash and the swivel. Put the leash in my belt. Take the swivel off. Again, you have to be good at using one hand, otherwise things get difficult. And lastly, right, we'll try this one. Not that one.
She's keen to go.
She's keen to go. Yeah, she can feel the wind, and she probably senses where she is. But we must get these jesses off because they've got the slots in, which are likely to get caught. So now she's safe to fly. We'll check the telemetry. That's beeping away nicely. That's on her tail. She's just hooked on the tail. It's very small. You can just see the aerial hanging down here. So it's quite a short area. She doesn't get caught on any barbed wire fences. Got a little name tag on with her name here, and that's her ready to go, ready to fly. Right. Okay. So let's take the hood off. Now she's having a look round. She wants just to check where she is. She's been hooded. She wants to check to see if any other birds of prey around. She's had one or two battles with the local kestrels here, although she's a lot bigger. She'll probably have another rouse before she goes. Yeah, she'll go when she's ready. She's not in a rush to go. She'll go when she feels she's safe and she knows exactly where she is. There she goes now, over our head. Try and get a little lift off there. Right.
You'll remember earlier in the programme I asked you if you thought you might know what this is. So I'm now going to pass it to Mike and he's going to explain exactly what it is and what it's used for. Michael.
Right, thank you. Yes, this actually is an artificial food source for the bird to chase and catch. We tie some food onto here, some beef or something similar. We can, if we want to make it look like a bird, slot some feathers into the side, and by carefully revolving this through the air, we can attract the bird's attention, and she's trained to come in for that, so we can get the bird back at the end of a good hunt, or as we are today when we're not actually hunting, we can get the bird to come and fly. We'll put her food on here and she'll come back and catch her food, so we can retrieve our bird.
And it's called?
A lure. She's been flying around a while now. Now comes the time to retrieve the bird, to take her back and to give her food. And this is again when the lure comes in. We have some food on the lure, and now I'm going to call the bird in. She's got some reasonable height, so let's see what we can do.
Right.
All right, here we go. Come on! She's mantling the food to make sure that no other birds can see it. So I'll let her have a good feed. She's had a good fly, and to reward her for coming back, let her have a good feed now. Her flying's finished for the day. I'll come in slowly. She's almost finished that food, and then she'll come on to this piece here. I'll cover the lure so she can't see it. She doesn't notice it's gone. Got the Jessies. Now she's quite safe. Here's the hood. We'll show her the hood. On with the hood. That's it. There she is. Tighten the hood. She's got a bit of meat off her nose. And there she is, ready to go back home.
So Mike, that was absolutely fantastic. I've learned so much today. It's an incredible sport and I've really enjoyed it. So again, many thanks.
Well, it was a lovely afternoon's flying. She enjoyed it and I certainly enjoyed it. There's so much to learn. They say there's a lifetime's learning. And
Yes.
Once you release the bird, you never know exactly where she's going to go.
No.
But with careful training,
Yeah.
she will perform to your requirements.
Well, she's
So,
done us proud this afternoon.
Good, good. Well, we better get her home and finish feeding her.
Okay, excellent. So how often would you fly her?
Near my home there is an old mill, and this is the perfect place to set yourself down and see what comes along. A pair of grey wagtails nest here almost every year. They are wonderful birds to watch. This is the male. You can tell this by his strong black bib below his beak. They obviously have a nest full of chicks, judging by the food he's carrying. Wagtails time their eggs to hatch out when the insect life is at its most prolific. This gives the chicks the best chance, and it makes it easier for the parents. This is the female. Notice her bib is grey and not black. The grey wagtail would normally have one brood each year, and the nest is usually near water. Next time you're near a river, watch out for the flash of grey and yellow.